This chapter has more lab values. It looks better on the page but can be hard on the ear. You have been warned. Chapter 7. The data. Herald slept and woke up in a room different than his own. He could tell he was still within the building, just not in a part familiar to him. The room was twice the size of his dorm-style bed away from home. It was, of course, more pleasant than his. The entire room smelled of vanilla. You sleep too long. Ida's soft voice was unmistakable. In an instant, Herald understood where he was. He shot up out of bed. The falling covers revealed that he was only half dressed. His shirt was missing. He was in only his slacks and socks. Ida, what happened last night? You know, for someone that doesn't drink, you have a bad morning after memory, Ida remarked. Herald sat up to the side of a black satin bed with matching sheets. Refresh me, did we? Sleep together? Yeda filled Herald in. Herald turned pale, and I forgot about it. Apparently, Yeda sighed. To my dismay, Herald sat for a moment collecting his thoughts about the prior night. How was it? He wanted to at least hear about it. How was what? It's not as if we did anything more than the last night. What do the details matter? Iada stepped behind a partition and began unhooking clothing from her body. Of course the details matter to me. I was there. Herald raised his voice. Then you should have had the decency to remember. Ada clipped a new black dress onto her chest and back. Herald calmed down. Hey, you said we did this before? Yes, this is the second night we've slept together. Do you remember now? Ida stepped out. Her flowing, long black cotton dress fit her well. Herald smiled when viewing Iada. She was a welcome sight regardless of how confused he was. You mean the night I woke up with you next to me? Yes. The same thing happened. Ida sat down next to Herald in her bed. Except you had the confidence to ask to come to my place at the end of the night. I seem to do that a lot when I'm tired. Herald rubbed the top of his head. It would appear so. Iada sounded pleased. Herald relaxed. So that's all that happened. He let out a sigh. I'm sorry. Did you want more? Iada said with a mute tone. Herald wasn't sure if Ada was being sarcastic or serious. Did you want some more? He decided to test it. I'm not a science experiment. Ada stood back up. Be a man and ask for what you want. Don't ask if you can ask for it. I'm not porridge. Isn't the reference cruel? Herald rebuked. Do you want to know how deep it is? Ida snapped. What? Herald was startled by the question. The hole you're digging right now. Ida lowered her head to Herald. Just get out. Herald stood up and barely raised his right hand to get a word in. I'll see you in the lab, Ida said louder. Herald found his shirt on the ground, managing to put it on before closing the door behind him. Outside, he was in a different part of the facility. It was the vampire dorms that he wasn't familiar with. He started halfway down the hall before realizing he was heading towards a dead end. His conversation and his night with Iada was bothering him. He couldn't place her feelings. She was passionate one moment and astringent the next. Slowly, Herald found his way to the main laboratory. Jenna was waiting for Herald at his station. What is it? I don't have too much time to talk. I have a lot of paperwork to do, Herald barked. He wasn't in the mood to chat. Calm the fuck down. I just helped your ass out. Now sit down and listen. Jenna always had a knack for putting Herald in his place when he got haughty. Herald sat down. His white lab coat was already on the chair. I don't remember leaving this here. Honestly, I'm surprised you remember your name, Jenna chuckled. What did you do to me, Jenna? Herald was accustomed to Jenna's non-practiced jokes over the years. Blue food coloring that mixed after he ate it had given him a bad case of cyanosis for a month. You didn't mess with my food again? No, it wasn't me this time, Jenna half confessed. Who, Jenna? Tell me who. Herald was pissed. He wanted to remember spending last night with Ida. Just relax. I have some good news first. Jenna perked up, as if it affected her as well. I got you out of doing all that paperwork. Herald squinted his eyes in suspicion. How? Michelle agreed to divert the number breakdown to the rest of us. She figured that you've had enough on your plate lately, and she felt sorry for you. Jenna was cheery. Herald knew there had to be a reason for how Jenna was acting. That's not like her. I don't believe it. Michelle doesn't feel sorry for other people. She only spreads misery and expects smiles. Not when it's her fault, Jenna admitted. She pranked me. Herald was livid. No, she drugged you, Jenna confessed. What? Herald jumped out of his seat. Calm the fuck down, Herald. I told you it's good news, remember? Jenna pushed on Herald's shoulders, forcing him back down. Why? Herald was fuming. Everyone saw you together with Ida last night and wanted you two to have a better time than usual. At least one that didn't involve you screwing everything up with talking about Mary. Jenna's logic was sound. Harold's newly accepting reaction confirmed that much. So Michelle gave you a Valium. She what? Harold's left eye began to pop out. It was to loosen you up, Jenna argued. She slipped it in your fist drink. But I wasn't drinking. Herald was worried as to what Jenna was going to say next. She put it in your water. Jenna lowered her head. You can't be too angry. I saw you walking in from the vampire rooms. It couldn't have ended too badly. We didn't do anything. Harold's voice revealed more to his emotions than his words. But you still spent the night. Jenna had won the battle. Her logic was enough to justify the result. Then she felt sorry for illegally drugging me? Herald put in altogether. That's about it, Jenna chuckled. It's a bit funny if you think about it. Herald turned to Jenna with a stern face. No, it's not when you really think about it. Okay, but you can't hate me for long. I've found you another lab partner. Jenna perked up again. Who now? Herald dreaded his next wild encounter. With Hugo, Jenna proclaimed. I know he's not here much, but he's agreed to a few clinical hours, and after that he's going to be leaving. A few hours? That's it? Herald wanted more. He told me that you'd be disappointed. Jenna stepped back. He also said that his blood would give you a better reason to believe than anyone else here. What's that supposed to mean? Herald asked. Don't know. He's the one that said it. Jenna walked to her station across the lab. Ask him. When? Herald was irritated by Jenna's lack of focus. He wanted more answers. Right now. A deep Russian voice boomed from behind Herald. Herald jumped at the sound. Hugo's single hand steadied him from falling and sat him back into his chair. Herald looked up at the tall, pale Hugo Sokolov, the most noticeable feature being his red fox pelt across his shoulders. He was speechless. Hugo's cold hand was enough to force him in place. You have questions that I may answer? Is that right? Hugo smiled. The numerous scars on his face stretched and contorted. Herald didn't move. Hugo sat down in the guest chair on the other side of the station. His body towered over the desk. He placed his left arm forward and opened to Herald. Here, take what you need from me. I have too many places I need to be right now. Herald complied by reaching for the supplies. He drew up the needle and found Hugo's vein with ease. The blood was near black, much darker than Ada's. It's crimson, I know, Hugo filled in Herald. Why? Herald continued drawing the tubes he needed. It's the iron. There's more of it in me and Laurel. Hugo's voice was more relaxed. What makes you and Laurel different from the rest? Herald finished and began wiping the blood away from Hugo's arm. He's a demon vampire. You didn't know? Hugo could see clearly that Herald had no idea what he was talking about. We both are. A demon? Herald was offset. Ask Laurel, Hugo said abruptly. So besides iron, what else is different? Herald asked. I was hoping you could answer that for me. Hugo smiled. You mean you've never had your blood sequenced and analyzed? Herald found it odd. I hadn't gotten around to it in the last few hundred years, Hugo admitted. Frankly, I was hoping you could just scan me and get it all over with if I just waited a few more decades. Unfortunately, timing was decided by someone else on this subject. There are moments when all must follow the river. So do I just mail the results back to you? Or text you with the differing values? Herald put the blood into a cooler labeled Hugo Sokolov. Marin will let me know. Hugo stood up. Wait, there are a few more tests, Herald insisted. Such as? Hugo contested, staying. I need your arterial blood, your blood pressure, and your medical data. Herald was sure of himself in this setting. It was enough to convince Hugo to remain. Hugo sat back down as Herald attached a pressure cuff to his right arm. Hugo grinned. So what did Marine come out as? I don't know. I haven't looked at his file yet. Herald searched for Marin's folder before taking the reading. Here it is. First name, Demetrius. Last name, Marin. Blood type, a negative birth date, December 23rd gestation period, 3 days onset of unique specialty, immediate eyes, red hair, black, long and straight skin, French Caucasian visual condition, unremarkable, no scarring or appearance of abnormal skin contaminants. Description of unique specialty. Subject displays ability to maintain amazing concentration in all facets of life. Defining characteristics, no iris. Fangs, 2.8 centimeters fangs on top, 1.85 centimeters fangs on lower. Average temperature, 65.1 F, 98.6 F. Pulse, 10 BPM, 60 BPM resting. Blood pressure, 29/10/120 systolic per 80 dystolic. Laboratory values, normal human values listed for comparison. Red blood cell count, 12.5 Mellers. Mercury-Wheeler normal is 4.2 minus 5.6 Meller. White blood cell count, 13.6 K for millimeter 3. Normal is 3.8 minus 11.0 K for millimeter 3. Hemoglobin, 31 grams per del. Normal is 14 minus 18 grams per del. Hematocrit HCT, 34%. Normal is 39 minus 54%. Coagulation ACT, 6 seconds. Normal is 90 minus 130 seconds. APTT, 0.64 seconds. Normal is 21 minus 35 seconds. Platelets, 2.9 million. Developmental normal is 140,000 minus 450,000 millibreller. Bleeding time, 7 seconds. Normal is 7 minutes. 7 seconds. 3 minus 7 minutes. Thrombin time, 0.0011 seconds. 11 minus 15 seconds. Hemodynamic parameters. Cardiac index, 0.39 L's per minute per netode, 2.5 minus 4.2 L divided by min M2. Cardiac output, 0.52 LRPM, 4 minus 8 LPM. Mean arterial pressure, 3.0 millimeters Hg, 70 minus 105 millimeters Hg. Stroke volume, 4.0 milliliters per beat, 60 minus 100 milliliters beat. Arterial values, pH 10.58, 7.35 DO, 7.45 O2. Saturation, 100%. 96 morning was 100%. Venous values, pH 10.99, 7.31 DO, 7.41 O2. Saturation, 29%. 60.85%. General chemistry, alkaline phosphatase, 160 U per liter. 32. 110 U per liter. Ammonia, 26 micromoles per liter. 11 minus 35 micromoles per liter. Calcium, 31 milligrams per liter. 8 minus 11 milligrams per liter. Carbon dioxide, 2.7 micler per liter. 21 minus 34 micler per liter. Glucose, 3634 milligrams per liter. 65 minus 99 milligrams per liter. Iron, 205 micrograms per liter, 52 minus 169 micrograms per liter. Lactic acid, 0.0598 micler per liter, 0.4 minus 2.3 micler per liter. Osmolarity, 459 miclers mores per kilogram, 276 minus 295 miclers mores per kilogram. Potassium, 5.6 micler per liter, 3.5 minus 5.5 micler per liter. Sodium, 1,148 micler per liter, 135 minus 148 micler per cholesterol, 27 milligrams per deciliter, 30 minus 75 milligrams per deciliter. Triglycerides, 220 milligrams per dl, 40 minus 170 milligrams per dl, 29/10. Herald read off of Marin's file. That's interesting to know it's that high. From what I know of him, I would think it would be lower. Hugo chuckled. Herald didn't understand the humor. He began pumping up the cuff. A minute later, he was done. That can't be right. Herald took out his stethoscope and placed it on Hugo's arm. This might be a little startling. I'm sure it will be. Hugo silently smiled. Herald kept listening. Hugo remained quiet. 2 minutes passed. Are you alive? Herald was alarmed. Yes, I live, Hugo proposed. I simply have a very low heart rate, as in you're dead. Herald couldn't shake the weird feeling he was feeling. He placed his fingers on Hugo's wrist. Don't be rude, Ida stepped in to warn Herald. Herald was astonished. He couldn't feel anything coming from Hugo. It's just not possible. He has to have a rhythm. Let me check. Ida looked at Hugo to ask permission. She placed her right ear on his lightly clothed chest. How's that going to help? Herald argued. Shh. Ida frowned at Herald. Start counting the clock when I tell you. I don't see how that's going to. Herald was interrupted. Now, Ida commanded. Herald watched the second hand on the wall. Another 2 minutes passed. Okay. Ida backed away from Hugo. That was it. You're telling me he has a heart rate of 0.5 beats per minute? Herald wasn't happy. You realize that I'll need you to get his blood pressure right? No, that's what you're telling yourself. I just told you what I heard. You're the one that counted. And yes, I will get it before he goes. Ada smiled and dipped her head to Hugo. I'll be going then. It's nice seeing you, Hugo. Say hello to Keely when you see her. She walked away, pleased with herself. Of course. Hugo turned back to Herald. Is that all? No, Herald said enthusiastically. We are not done here. His words were forceful. I have to fill out the rest of the file. Of course. Hugo's flat tone denoted a dissatisfied mood. What's your birthday? Herald asked. I'm not telling you, Hugo answered. What? Herald was astounded. It's for the study. I need to know it. You don't, so I'm not telling you. Next question, Hugo insisted. Infection date? Herald asked cautiously. What is that? Hugo didn't understand. When were you bitten? Herald attempted to clarify. The day I was turned, not bitten. Hugo made it crystal. And that you don't need to know either. But, Herald tried to argue. Next question. Hugo demanded progression of the conversation. He wanted to make it certain what he wasn't going to give up. Herald stared at Hugo with a scowl. He didn't like it, but knew there was no use fighting. Hair color, dirty blonde eyes, blue, iris intact. Facial scars and rough skin. Herald could tell Hugo was about to shut down any question referring to his scars. To be preemptive, he didn't mention it. He only gathered a few more remedial items and let Hugo go. Hugo stood. I'll see you in a few years then. It was nice meeting you, Herald. You're not going to be staying for the end of the study? Herald couldn't place it, but Hugo was acting strange. Hugo stood for a moment, looking over Herald. Sorry, I have other duties I must bear, but it will be nice to see you in time. Herald nodded as Hugo left the main lab floor. A week passed as the results from Hugo's blood came back from testing. Herald rushed over to take the package from George, a staff employee that he met on day one of the project. He had grown a thick gray beard. He didn't appear that old. Herald thought to himself that if he did what Penny was going to do, he'd be young forever. Here's the data file on Sokolov. George's mid-range voice was underwhelming in person. He just wasn't as perky as he was when they had started. Herald could see the strain in George's eyes. Are you all right? Yeah, I'll just be happy to get another project when this is all over, George admitted. You don't like the endless hours and total lack of personal time? Suck it up. You're a researcher. Antisocial is your bread and butter. It's the data and only the data that proves or disproves something. Remember that, Herald scolded. But even I have a life outside of this, Mr. Thompson, don't you? George didn't realize what he had said. The comment hit hard. Herald didn't have anything else, only the data. Get back to work. George nodded and left to his station in the back of the room. Herald understood that after the project was done, he had nothing. He had the money, but no direction in which to take it. There were no real goals that he saw himself achieving in the near future. He sat down at his desk, mulling it over. He slowly opened the file and began skimming it. First name, Yugo last name, Sokolov blood type, O positive birth date, classified gestation period, 3 days onset of unique specialty, immediate eyes, purple hair, dirty blonde, short and scattered. Skin, Russian, Caucasian, visual condition. Remarkable scarring on facial region. Description of unique specialty. Subject displays ability to manifest thought into the transmutation of physical matter. Defining characteristics, has an iris. Fangs, 1.9 centimeters fangs on top, 0.95 centimeters fangs on lower. Average temperature, 59.8 F, 98.6 F pulse, 0.5 BPM, 60 BPM resting, blood pressure, 7 halves, 12 systolic divided 80 dystolic laboratory values, normal human values listed for comparison. Red blood cell count 37.9 m's per ml, 4.2 minus 5.6 m's per ml. White blood cell count 14.2 k per millimeters, 3.8 minus 11.0 k divided millimeters 3. Hemoglobin 40 grams per dl, 14 minus 18 grams per dl. Hematocrit HCT 3:30 seconds 90 54% coagulation. ACT 3 seconds 90 minus 130 seconds. APTT 0.0092 seconds, 21 minus 35 seconds. Platelets 8.8 million devalor of valor, 140,000 minus 450,000 devalor milliliter. Bleeding time 4 seconds, 3 minus 7 minutes. Thrombin time 0.0002 seconds, 11 minus 15 seconds. Hemodynamic parameters. Cardiac index 0.013 L per minute per 2.5 minus 4.2 L divided by min M2. Cardiac output 0.040 LPM, 4 minus 8 LPM. Mean arterial pressure 0.2 millimeters Hg, 70 minus 105 millimeters Hg. Stroke volume 0.09 milliliters per beat, 60 minus 100 milliliters of beat. Arterial values pH 7.36, 735, 745, O2 saturation, 100%, 96 millimol was 100%. Venous values, pH 7437, 7431 millimol 7 O2 saturation, 20%, 60, 85% general chemistry, alkaline phosphatase 98 U per liter, 32 minus 110 U per liter, ammonia. 22 micromoles per liter, 11 minus 35 micromoles per liter, calcium, 85 milligrams per deciliter, 8 minus 11 milligrams per deciliter, carbon dioxide, 2.2 micromilligram per liter, 21 minus 34 micromole per liter, glucose, 2024 milligrams per deciliter, 65 minus 99 milligrams per deciliter, iron, 225 micrograms per deciliter, 52 minus 169 micrograms per deciliter, lactic acid 0.0049 micrograms per liter, 0.4 minus 2.3 micrograms per liter. Osmolarity 485 microsmoles per kigler, 2 tessin 6 minus 295 microsmoles per kigler. Potassium 5 micrograms per liter, 3.5 minus 5.5 micrograms per liter. Sodium 132 micrograms per liter, 135 minus 148 micrograms per cholesterol, 8 milligrams per late, 30 minus 75 milligrams per late. Triglycerides 287 milligrams per dl, 40 minus 170 milligrams per dl. This can't be right, Herald said aloud. Most of the values are way off? How can that be? He meant it as a rhetorical question. He's a demon vampire. Laurel sat down at Herald's station. You mean there are different types of vampires? Herald asked. Yes and no. There are different types of gifts, but being a demon vampire means you have a truly individual gift you have been blessed with. Laurel tried to explain. I don't get it. Herald sat with the same expression of curiosity on his face. Laurel's first attempt hadn't worked. It's like calling someone with albino skin and a winning lotto ticket a member of another species. He could see his analogy wasn't cutting it. There are nearly 1 million vampires in the world. There are only 7 demon vampires at any one time, ever. Why only 7? Herald perked right up. Laurel knew he had opened the wrong door in front of Herald, and was about to regret it. The demon gifts are people, not things. A long time ago, a dozen vampires thought it might be a good idea to be truly immortal. But I thought you already, Herald butted in. No, we can all die. There are always things that can kill us. Suicide always being an option in the end. I'm talking about being burned into ash and walking away from it a few days later. Absolute destruction and then complete regeneration. That is true immortality. The elders wanted it, so we paid the price. Laurel sighed. Hugo said you were one of them. But why did they need to use you? Herald pried. It's the way you test the experiment that matters. It always does. In this case, it's to kill the guinea pig. That's where we came in. Laurel's words brought a chill. They used us, and it didn't work. They thought that immortality could prevent fighting between themselves. After the trial was over, they just went back to using messengers again instead of meeting in person. The ironic part is that they ended up having to meet every 300 years to take care of us. Why so long? Herald put Hugo's file down. We reincarnate, Laurel somberly told Herald. It takes that long for one of us to come back. But what can kill you guys? Based on these values, you have insanely high levels of sugar in your blood that you can convert to energy. Your blood doesn't need to move practically at all. Your platelet count is off the charts. You're near invincible. What does it take? The midday sun and a silver stake through the heart. Herald went all out, he wanted to know. Actually, that wouldn't kill me, Laurel chuckled to himself. The sun and silver? Herald wanted clarification. Yes, I'm immune to both. Laurel smiled proudly. Herald opened the small file cabinet next to his desk. He picked out Laurel's medical file and began reading. First name. Laurel last name, Fessenden blood type, B negative birth date, classified infection date, classified gestation period, 3 days onset of unique specialty, immediate eyes gray-blue hair. Light brown, short and scattered, skin, British Caucasian visual condition, unremarkable, no scarring on facial region or any other skin contaminates. Description of unique specialty. Subject displays ability to manifest thought into the regression of physical matter. Defining characteristics, has an iris. Fangs, 2.0 centimeters fangs on top, 1 fang centimeters fangs on lower. Average temperature, 62.7 F, 98.6 F, pulse, 0.6 BPM, 60 BPM resting blood pressure, 8/3 120 systolic divided by 80 dystolic laboratory values. Normal human values listed for comparison. Red blood cell. Count, 36.2 Ms Lober Mucloelder, 4.2 minus 5.6 Ms Lober Mucloelder white blood cell count, 14.1 K Slober millimeter, 3.8 minus 11.0 K Slober millimeters free hemoglobin, 40 grams Slober DL, 14 minus 18 grams Slober DL, hematocrit HCT, 31%, 39 minus 54%. Coagulation, ACT, 4 seconds 90 minus 130. Seconds APTT, 0.0099 seconds, 21 minus 35 seconds. Platelets, 8.5 million Devach Devalar MLLs, 140,000 minus 450,000 Devalar milliliters. Bleeding time, 5 seconds 3 minus 7 minutes. Thrombin time, 0.0004 seconds, 11 minus 15 seconds. Hemodynamic parameters, cardiac index, 0.015 L per minute per minute. Per minute 2.5 minus 4.2 L divided by minute M2, cardiac output, 0.044 LPM, 4 minus 8 LPM, mean arterial pressure, 0.21 millimeters Hg, 70 min 105 millimeters Hg, stroke volume, 0.10 millimeters, beat 60 minus 100 milliliters D, the 60 minus 100 milliliters divide, beat, arterial values, pH, 7.39, 7.35, 7.4502 saturation, 100%, 96, 100%, venous values, pH 7.38, 7.31, 7.4102 saturation, 21%, 60 p 85%, general chemistry, alkaline phosphatase 96 U per liter, 32 minus. 110 UL liter. Ammonia, 21 micromoles per liter, 11-35 micromoles per liter. Calcium, 83 milligrams per dl, 8-11 milligrams per dl. Carbon dioxide, 2.7 micromer per liter, 21-34 micromer. Glucose, 7181 milligrams per dl, 65-99 milligrams per dl. Iron, 212 micrograms per dl, 52-169 micrograms per dl. Lactic acid, 0.0059 micrograms per liter, 0.4-2.3 micrograms per liter. Osmolarity, 480 mosm per kilogram per totalcy 295 mosm per kilogram. Potassium, 4.8 micrograms per liter, 3.5-5.5 micrograms. Oxalostrol, 139 micrograms per liter, 135-148 micrograms per liter. Cholesterol, 10 milligrams per liter, 30-75 milligrams per liter. Triglycerides, 266 milligrams per dl, 40-170 milligrams per dl. Both of you have very low sodium levels. Herald studied the file, and your calcium is double that of the other vampires. Why? We're stronger, was Laurel's only real response. Herald thought about it for a moment. Okay, the tolerance to silver I get. If you don't have the sodium hydroxide in the bloodstream, there can't be a reaction to the silver nitrate. But how does the sun play into everything? It must be in the blood work. Maybe it's an allergic reaction? Why not hypersensitivity to ultraviolet, infrared, and other cosmic rays and general heat present in daylight? Laurel astounded Herald. Go on. Herald sat back and wanted to hear more. If we are able to heal at such a fast rate and our bodies are hyper-efficient at normal tasks, isn't it possible that our reactions to minor allergies would be as drastic? Laurel's words made perfect sense. Herald didn't know what to say. Thank him. Ellen stepped up to Herald's station, intruding into the conversation. You shouldn't pull tricks like that, Ellen. Just because Marin is lax around you and Hugo doesn't mean anyone else will permit it. Laurel scolded Ellen. So what you're saying is that besides you, Marin, Hugo, Adonis, David, Ida, Paige, and the soon-to-be-turned Penny, I should be careful of what I say. Ellen had made his point well. Laurel huffed and bit his lip. You're butting in, Ellen. Tend to your own lab mate for the night and leave mine be. Herald successfully shushed Ellen. Then I'll leave you two for the night. Ellen bowed his head and walked away. Herald leaned towards Laurel. By the way, he waited for Laurel to raise his head. Thank you for making that connection. It was very well thought out. I used to study anthropology, Laurel said. When? Herald had to ask. In the 16th century? Laurel explained. Did you study long? Herald wanted to know, and how. I studied the bodies from the Black Plague along with another vampire. We were trying to find ways of killing people that didn't leave any real evidence. Laurel smiled with a creepy, awkward gesture. It was a dark time. We needed to survive. Herald slowly lowered his head, thinking about what to say. It's okay. You have to understand I have killed people. I admit that. There have been times when it wasn't for food either. I can't expect you to deal with that on face value. All I can do is tell you and let you settle with the fact. Laurel cleared his throat. Otherwise, I'm just another murderer in your world. Herald thought about it and calmed down. Okay, I can accept that. Thank you. Laurel nodded. Then, can you tell me why you haven't spoken to Ida lately? What? Herald was nervous. She tells me you have been avoiding her. Laurel asked. I haven't been. Herald tried to make an excuse. Let me give you some advice. Laurel leaned in. Just because a woman has eternity doesn't mean that she wants to wait. Really? Herald raised his voice with the question. Ida casually walked by Herald and Laurel, smiling at Herald. Laurel waited for Herald to turn back. Really? He stood up from the station. On that note, I need to spend some time with my bride-to-be. Just like that, you're going to go to her? Herald didn't see why it was necessary. It's never an issue if it's invited. Laurel tipped his head to Herald and left. Herald thought about everything as he looked up in the direction Ayada left. Without another moment of contemplation, he stood and began to walk. He didn't know what he was going to say when he got to Iada, but he was going to get there regardless. His feet moved with one cause and desire. Before he knew it, he was at her door about to knock. The door opened, and Ada stood with her left arm tall and against the frame. Yes? I wanted to be with you. Herald just came out and said it. You're stepping in the right direction, but you need a little more action if you're going to do what I think you would like to do. Iada smiled, waiting for Herald to act. Herald put one foot forward and kissed Ida on the lips. It was so unexpected, Ida didn't move at first. She let Herald embrace her. In the moment, her arms slowly lowered and she became enthralled in the kiss. Herald took his time. He let her know that she was the focus of his intentions and nothing else. He pushed into her, making his way into her room. Herald gently let his lips relax. The pressure lifted from Iada as her breath became heavy. What was that for? Iada was visually flustered. Nothing. I wanted to be near you, so I did it. Harold's broken English was cute in Ida's eyes. Good answer. Ida licked her lips. Would you like to go to dinner with me? Harold boldly. When? Iada was on the defensive for the first time. As soon as we can. I want to spend time with you. Harold's words were not his own, flowing purely from his gut and heart. I like this. Ida approved. Whatever you've done, whatever you've decided to make this change, keep it up. She leaned into Herald and quickly kissed him on the lips again. I'll see you tomorrow night during out lunch break. I'd like that. Herald was pleased. Ada went back into her room and closed the door with a grin plastered on her face. Herald walked back to his station with a satisfaction that was new. This was the first truly brazen act he had ever committed in his life. As he returned to his desk, Jenna was waiting. I need to speak to you. Jenna stood up. Herald made his way to the dorm rooms with a brisk walk. What is it this time? His mood was ruined before it had a chance to blossom. It's about Michelle. Jenna followed Herald to his room. She wants to take things a little further. Herald went inside and gestured for Jenna to close the door behind her. He sat down and immediately answered her problem. What's wrong with simply going for it? If she wants to and you want to, why beat around it? She wants me to move in. Jenna was uneasy. Then move in. I've seen your place. It would be a welcome change. Herald was talking matter of fact. This is new. Since when did you grow balls? Jenna was surprised. You've never given me advice like this before. What's different? Experience, Herald proudly boasted. Bullshit, Jenna called Herald out. With who? A woman that didn't want to wait around. Herald answered quickly and with purpose. He knew what he wanted and knew he had deserved it. Everything else seemed disconnected besides that one fact. His work, Jenna's problems, everything. Are we done here? I need to review a few more files. Jenna stepped back. Yeah, we're done. She opened and closed the door silently. She didn't expect such an answer from Herald. It was good, but almost alien to her. Herald sat on the edge of his bed. I guess I don't have any time to dilly-dally. I have work to do. He got up and headed back to his desk. So it comes to this? Penny said to Herald as she sat at his station. The tester has become the tested. She presented her right arm for Herald to draw blood. Herald sat with an unnatural calm. That revelation would normally have made the moment awkward, but not then. It would seem so. The odd part is that I still have to complete my portion of the lab work. I just can't run my own samples. Penny was cheerful. There was a happiness that wasn't in her the first day Herald had laid eyes on her. What was it like? Herald searched for a reaction in Penny's face before he asked the question. Being with a vampire? Don't you mean being with vampires? Penny was being a bit too direct for Herald to handle. Herald blushed. Sorry, I know you don't do those types of things in your personal sex life. Penny restrained herself. Amazing muscle tone. What? Herald didn't understand the reference. They have insane muscle tone. It's at a different level than ours. It's not like they're ripped or anything, it's just that they have a strength in them that isn't human. That's the best way I can describe it. They're just so well. Penny thought about a good way to say what was on her mind. Well, proportioned. Harold was uncomfortable. His breathing showed it. Sorry, that was too much. I get like that sometimes. I guess that's why Laurel took a shine to me. I don't look like it on the outside, but I'm a very direct person. Penny smiled modestly. Harold cleaned Penny's arm and prepared a needle. So you like him? I love him. Penny was enthusiastic. Harold set up the needle and pushed it in. How do you know? I want to be with him. There's nothing to be unsure of. It's what I want. Penny's answer was instant. Harold wasn't sure. Penny's answer had bypassed the intention of the question. She knew. There was no doubt in her voice. He drew back the blood he needed for the samples. Then you never had any hesitation about being with Laurel? Or Adonis? Penny was direct about her circumstance. I know what I came to them for. And when I became pregnant, we all knew what that meant. I don't regret any of it. Harold felt better hearing it from Penny. So you'd do it again if you had the choice. Penny bit her lip and resisted the urge to make Harold even more uncomfortable. I won't say what I was about to, but no, I wouldn't change anything. Harold was relieved. He knew what he was going to do with Ida for once. He had a plan. He took out the needle and set the blood up to be tested later that night. Thanks. I'll remember that. You're welcome, Mr. Thompson. Penny smiled as she walked over to her station in the back. The next night came and it was already lunchtime. There was a knock on Harold's desk. It was Ida in the same long purple dress she wore when Harold first saw her. By contrast, Harold was in the same lab coat he always had on. The only difference was a new black tie. Don't say anything, Ida immediately warned Harold. Ida led Harold out of the laboratory, downstairs and across the street to a small 24-hour coffee shop. She sat them in the back corner without a word between them. Once there, she placed both her hands on his and nodded. What's this about? Harold asked. Your conviction. Ida said truthfully. Harold was silent. Do you want to be a vampire? Ida's question was exactly as it sounded. There was no confusion. Harold didn't know what to say. He knew he wanted to be with Ida, but he wasn't sure about that kind of lifestyle, especially after what Laurel said. It's no, I can respect that, but not for long. You need to make up your mind, Ida interrupted. But you didn't give me a chance to explain, Harold continued. I didn't need to. I is not the beginning of an answer I was willing to accept, Ida told Harold. There can be no hesitation. This is a personal choice that only you can be sure of. I simply can't afford to let you make it with a single doubt in your mind. Then where do we go from here? The trial will be over in a few months. Harold wanted answers. You need to discover that much. When you have come up with a true reason for being with me, I will extend myself to you again. Ida squeezed Harold's hand. Please know that no one can be what I am without living a full life before they do. Harold understood and squeezed back. Then, when the time comes, I'll have an answer that you can accept. It's the only way. Ida smiled and the date went on. A few days passed as Penny's blood values came back in. Harold looked at the file from his desk. First name, Penny. Last name, Harrington. Blood type, a negative birth date. November 8th gestation period. NA onset of unique specialty. NA eyes, green hair, brown, mid-length and straight skin. Freckled Caucasian visual condition. A scar on the left posterior elbow. A small scar on the abdomen when the appendix was removed. Description of unique specialty. NA, divining characteristics, none. Average temperature, 98.7 F, 98.6 F pulse, 63 BPM, 60 BPM resting blood pressure, 118/77s, 120 systolic divided by 80 dystolic laboratory values, normal human values listed for comparison. Red blood cell. Count, 4.1 m her letter 3.8 minus 5.1 m her letter white blood cell count 8.0 k her lever pirif 3.8 minus 11.0 k divided per millimeter 3 hemoglobin 14 grams per thel 11 minus 16 grams per thel hematocrit 42% 47% coagulation ACT 102 seconds 99 is 130 seconds APTT 27 seconds 21 minus 35 seconds platelets 207,000 divided as mlet 140,000 minus 450,000 divided as mlet time 4.25 minutes 3 minus 7 minutes thrombin time 14 seconds 11 minus 15 seconds hemodynamic parameters cardiac index 2.9 lbs per minute per 2.5 minus 4.2 Ls divided by min m2, cardiac output 5 lpm, 4 minus 8 lpm, mean arterial pressure 81 millimeters Hg, 70 minus 105 millimeters Hg, stroke volume 72 milliliters beat, 60 minus 100 milliliters beat, arterial values, pH 737, 735, 7.45 O2 saturation 97%, 96 more than 100%, venous values, pH 7.34, 7.31, 7.41, O2 saturation, 82%, 60 to 85%, general chemistry, alkaline phosphatase, 67 U per liter, 32 minus 110 U per liter, ammonia, 17. Moles per liter, 11 minus 35 micromoles per liter, calcium 9 milligrams per dl, 8 minus 11 milligrams per dl carbon dioxide, 27 micro per liter, 21 minus 34 micro per liter, glucose, 88 milligrams per dl, 65 minus 99 milligrams per dl, iron, 71 micrograms per dl, 52 minus 169 micrograms per dl, lactic acid, 1.96 micro per liter, 0.4 minus 2.3. MEQ osmolarity 279 msmol per kilogram, 276 minus 295 msmol per kilogram potassium, 3.6 msmol per liter, 3.5 minus 5.5 msmol per liter sodium, 135 msmol per liter, 135 minus 14.8 msmol cholesterol, 70 milligrams per delar, 30 minus 75 milligrams per delar, triglycerides, 49 milligrams per delar, 35 minus 13.5 mg del. She's normal, Herald realized what that meant. Penny hadn't taken any of Laurel's blood. Herald understood as much, but he wondered why the exchange of fluids during sex wouldn't affect her in some way. He attributed it to another factor he wasn't able to fully explain yet and let it be. He clearly knew that there were now things in this world that were never going to be completely explained to him. Herald found himself walking to the break room for some coffee with the file in his hand. He was oblivious to everything going on around. When the door opened, he heard a gasp, but didn't raise his head until a moment later. There was a definite shifting sound as someone would jump onto the floor from sitting on a countertop. He wasn't exactly sure what was going on until he looked up. There, standing with her blouse unbuttoned and her skirt pushed up onto her hips, was Paige. Herald took a moment to realize what she had been doing, and then another to grasp who with. "Hey, Herald, you won't tell anyone about this, right?" The male voice was familiar. It rang of long-forgotten memories and a path not chosen. Harold's face sunk in disappointment. "Ryan?